Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. If you saw my last video, the old Seaman's Vacation Adventures update, you can catch it right there. But if you check that out, you know I'm gonna have different backgrounds all the time because we are on vacation, traveling the West Coast, going from San Diego all the way up to Seattle. Hit Comic-Con last week, and a lot of fun. But because of the lead up to vacation, a lot of work, a lot of personal stuff, had a lot of things that we didn't get to touch, and that includes this movie right here. Oh, Mr. Ari Aster is back with another messed up movie, and I saw Midsommar like the night it came out. And oh wow, what a trip. I had a really bad edit fail, which led to me having to try to recut it, and then I ran out of time, and we haven't had to do anything. I haven't had a chance to do anything the last 2 weeks. So that's all fixed and squared away. The review is ready. So this is the non-spoiler review for Midsommar. Let's throw it back for a correct welcome and open for a review to the old Past Seaman. Take it away, Past Seaman. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. We get ready to dive into a movie coming to us from Mr. Ari Aster, who's certainly throwing his name into the ring of horror auteurs that are just crushing it right now, at least for the critics. Hereditary was a very split kind of mix of the crowd, and now this movie, oh man, you're probably gonna split some crowds with this one too. Why don't you pull up a chair, man? Take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in, spoiler free, into Midsommar. Unfamiliar with the film, this follows a group of friends who go to Sweden for this midsummer festival at this commune that one of their classmates is from. And it's supposed to be just a group of guys, but the one guy's girlfriend, Danny, has a tragic family accident happen, and shocking, Ari Aster doing family tragedies. He's really good, and we'll get there. But after all that, says, "Why don't you come?" And she comes along for the trip that was supposed to be like this guy's trip. So there's some friction there, but then you get out there and you see all this beauty out in Sweden. And then you start seeing what's going on in the Midsummer Festival, and I came out of the film, and I was asked,
"Hey, what's going on,
what'd you
everybody?"
think?
I'm the Seaman, the guy you're watching right there. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did this for a while.
How do
why don't
we
hit the fast forward button?
Yeah.
And then see what we'll do is we'll skip past all of this nonsense, and that way we can just kind of get into the review. But I thought it was necessary to show you how long I struggled at trying to come up with something to say. And let's see, I think. Well, give me a minute. Here we go. And bingo! All right, now we're at the start of the review. I'm going to walk away, and then we'll hit the play button and let you guys enjoy all the thoughts that the Seaman had on Midsommar. This one fucked me up hard, man. Now you guys get to see exactly what I thought. Play.
Okay. All right. I think this is a movie that's hard to put words to. You come out of this theater, and I did a lot of that when I was asked, what did you think? And I was like, the words were hard to grab because once again, Ari Aster has shown up and produced something that is just so unsettling, like start to finish, that you feel weird. It's hard to talk about what you just watched. What's interesting here is the actual rituals and things we see take place during this 9-day midsummer feast at this commune aren't necessarily traditionally from Swedish culture or history. A lot of the things that we see in the movie come from different pagan rituals and things that Ari Aster pulled from German culture and a bunch of different European cultures. But the thing that's most unnerving about this movie is after you watch it and you go and you start doing some digging, which is what I did, you read interviews and stuff with Ari Aster where he mentions that he dug up historical things that, allow him to build out the rituals we see for this commune called the Harga. And it is disturbing and unsettling from the get-go, because essentially what this movie turns out to be is like a drug-induced horror ride, man. Like this group of Americans and a bunch of people from the commune have brought outsiders to the festival, and almost right away, like they get there and we're popping mushrooms. They drink a lot of teas, herbal teas, which clearly are hallucinogenic, and that certainly plays into a lot of the things that happen in this movie. Some of the real unnerving stuff happens during some of Danny's trips when she's walking by, like faces are kind of melting and she sees things move. Like there are things on the screen that'll be moving constantly in the movie. Like you won't even be in like the shot that looks like the trip. You'll be in like a regular standard shot, and yet like things in the center of the table are moving and melding, and the way the earth kind of combines with features of the people, you get these really unsettling kind of like trippy things out there where you're almost like, what am I seeing is real or not real? And when you mix into that the family trauma that I mentioned that happens to Danny, like her character, I think is the most impressive in the movie and is the most interesting. And Florence Pugh's performance is brilliant because she suffers a horrible family tragedy. Ari Aster, I think that's where he is like writing his name in the annals of horror for forever. The family drama that he surrounds these horror films with what happened in Hereditary to the sister, what happens to Danny's family here, it is so dark and disturbing yet real, because these are types of things happen. But the imagery and how he pulls the movie, lets those scenes stretch and really let you live in how unsettling what you're looking at. It just adds to that uneasiness you have when you're watching the film, knowing that, and then it just completely drives Florence Pugh's performance very much like it drove Toni Collette's in Hereditary. So huge props to Ari Aster when he nails that stuff, because it does make his lead characters very interesting to follow. And the kills in this movie, some of them are visually shown, some of them are shown post the death. There's some mystery and veiled things to a lot of what's going on, and ultimately it all gets revealed by the end of the celebration, and you find out what the whole thing has been all about. Oh man, dude, like you watch the end and you're like, you come out of the movie doing a lot of like, yeah. My critiques, however, continually seem to land in the third act. The stuff we get in the third act is extremely graphic and extremely prolonged, and that works in making you uncomfortable. But I thought it was too much. I was like, we could shrink, and the movie is over 2 hours long. I think the actual running time is 2 hours and 27 minutes. This is almost a 2.5 hour movie. I have issues with 2.5 hour movies in general that aren't action oriented, right? Like when we get comedies that are pushing that length, horror movies 100% should not go over 2 hours, and that I think is the biggest problem with this movie. However, he's so good at what he does, man. The artistic beauty in these terrifyingly disturbing films is wild, man. The cinematic nature to his films is beautiful to watch. You can see the artistry in his filmmaking when he's making these movies. Very much like a Jordan Peele. Totally different type of concept, right? Like the way he approaches the movie, very different from Jordan Peele. And while I think his movies are going to almost always land kind of split because of the disturbing nature to them, it's gonna rub people the wrong way, and it's gonna make other people uncomfortable. And in that, he's nailing all his things, but you can't deny how well he can draw a scene out. When he does pull that scene to lengthen it and let you sit in that uneasiness, it's done so well, but too many times for me in this film. But overall, I think what Ari Aster is producing is some of the best horror stuff we've seen in years, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. The other thing, though, that really helps Ari Aster is having a really phenomenal cast. That Florence Pugh is mind-blowingly good in this movie. Like, I loved her in Fighting With My Family. This is a whole nother level of acting. Very much like the Toni Collette character in Hereditary, Danny is the one suffering from the family tragedy that's now being pulled into this horror story and having to deal with that, which in and of itself is disturbing, on top of everything that's happened to her. And when you see how that all plays out, very similar to Toni Collette, you get this guttural, emotional scream of pain and sorrow that I don't think quite hits Toni Collette's level, which is like, if you were going to tell me, like, put a sobbing motherly scream in a movie, I'm grabbing that audio, that's what I'm using. but Florence Pugh hits it in a different way that just, again, hits you in your core, and just you feel everything this girl feels. And having that going on inside her the whole movie, I mean, anytime someone mentions family or something else that can trigger that thought, even though she's like, months and months and months and months, almost a year removed from it, it's all shown in her acting and what she does and everything that she's having to take in, that she's taking in that everyone else is. She's also having to deal with that extra weight of baggage on it, and it gives Aster really good moments of things that he's able to weave in, specifically when she's on some of her trips. But it just creates a fascinating character, and one that you care about from start to finish, and to see where she goes and how the story plays, specifically with her douchey boyfriend Christian. It's fascinating. Aster said that the movie was like a breakup movie, and it certainly is, but not like you've ever seen. And I don't think I would classify it as a breakup movie. I would classify this as a dark, like seemingly okay, but underneath seriously sinister kind of a film. And that's what it is, man. It does, on the surface, it's like, oh, look at this nice thing, but underneath there is so much sinister stuff going on. And as it all unfolds, you're just like, and Florence Pugh is a huge reason for that. She's phenomenal. As is Jack Reynor. I hate him in this movie so much, because he is like the epitome of dickhead boyfriends. Like, everything he says, everything he does, you're like, I want to punch you in the face. Like, how could you say that? Or how could you do that? Or how could you do that? Or act this way, knowing everything you know about what's going on with your girlfriend? And for that, I give Jack Reynor so much credit, because I think that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to hate this guy. And when we get to the end of this movie, and we're coming down the end of the stories of Danny and Christian, hating him is a major driving factor that kind of allows you to want to enjoy some of what happens at the end, but it's still just so messed up on so many levels. That also being said, though, William Jackson Harper, who plays Josh, I really enjoyed him. I really thought he made you really believe that he was in this for the thesis and the studying, but at the same time, things that were bothering him or things that he was picking up on or disturbing him. And I like that he's our main vessel to kind of get into like the history and culture of this specific group in the Horga. And like where they come from, like how they build like their religion per se, like they have these books. He's our vessel to kind of get into that stuff, like the stuff that's actually about this specific created culture and this commune. Everything about that is driven through him. I think he does a really good job of approaching it like a scientist, or however. Whatever he's studying, like it feels like one of those people, like an intelligent person coming into something going, okay, this is really messed up, but like this is my thesis. So I enjoyed his go. And then there is Mark, who's played by the wonderful Will Poulter. I'm a huge fan of Will Poulter. Every time he pops up, I'm like, yes, Will Poulter. And he's kind of our funny guy, man. He's the third of the three American dudes. He's the one who didn't want Danny to come along, hates that Christian's dating her because she's needy. And just the one who, like, says all the funny things. He makes you laugh. He cuts some of that tension. He does things that upset people in the commune because he's not paying attention or thinking about anything. He's simply there for vacation. So having Will Poulter be there, he's kind of like us. We're just kind of coming along for this ride. We're not here for this, school aspect of it. He's here to have a kick-ass summer in Sweden and maybe get lucky with a few ladies. And the way all that plays out and plays into his story, I really enjoyed. And what is inflicted upon them from the commune, you'll go along on that ride and you're just like, oh man, you feel nervous for this group the whole time because you know bad things are coming. And Wilhelm Blomgren, who plays Pelly, what a wonderful way to tie that group into the commune. And the way he's able to earn your trust, and like where you start kind of rooting for him in some elements against Christian early. Like he kind of has real sympathy and feels really bad for Danny. Like he is also an orphan. He lost his parents when he was really young, and he tries to communicate with her in that way. And they have these moments where you're like, oh man, like you almost kind of get caught up in like that stuff. And it's because Wilhelm does such a great job of acting innocent, even though he knows where everything is going in this festival. He knows why he brought these people here, and yet he's so likable. Like so likable, and he's your way into the commune proper, where you're kind of like, oh, his brother is there, and you're caring about like these people, and like, okay, so that when the dark stuff starts happening, he's kind of like that center that like, hey, I know this was messed up, I shouldn't let you see this, or like we shouldn't let this happen, but like please stay. And I liked his performance. He was very charming. Considering that he's in a group of people who do anything but charming stuff. And the people in the commune, what a great job, man. I mean, you really feel like it's a real place. And, you know, I think they filmed in Budapest. But you feel like this is like a real place in Sweden, that this commune could exist, that these people are real, like these people have a history. You feel all that because of the way that they act. And the interesting thing in the movie is there's a lot of empathy with this group. So there are a couple different sequences where things are going on with our main characters that then are started to be either mimicked or brought in and felt in an empathic way by this group at the commune. That it's one of these things like you see and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like beautiful to a degree, but because of the way in which it's being delivered, it is unnerving and terrifying and creepy, and you're just like, oh, that's freaking me out. And they do that like simultaneously in two places toward the end of the movie, where like that third act is building to this like crazy, creepy crescendo, and the sequence is going on. It's one of the things that I thought lasted a little too long, but listen to the sounds that are going on and how they eventually kind of meld into one kind of harmony that is so unnerving and unsettling. I tell you, the craftsmanship of this movie is crazy, crazy good. Like, all the little things that Aster is doing work. I just think he didn't know how to cut the movie down to a workable time. So, Midsommar, it's more upfront in what it's doing than Hereditary was. So I like that because I was mentally prepared for a lot of what I saw. But you can never figure out what you're going to see, and the places and things that it goes into and where it dives, and just the unnervingness of the movie makes it a win in the horror genre, and the artistic delivery of how everything is done, I think, also is a win. The acting, for sure, huge win. Florence Pugh, she's now she was cast for the Black Widow movie. This could be something that certainly has a major role to play in that. She just continues to impress me. And this whole group, very, very likable, very, enjoyable actors, and they all do their jobs really, really well. So, for the most part, this thing is a pretty big hit for me. Just a little too long, like 2.5 hours of feeling like this is a lot, Ari. Like, if you get that to an hour and 50 minutes, maybe 2 hours, I'd be more ecstatic. But tell you what, if you're in for something that's going to unsettle and unnerve you and just make your skin crawl, go check out Midsommar. If that's not your vibe, if you didn't like Hereditary, run the other way. Just stay away from this movie because it'll mess you up in the head a little bit because it's fucked up. So there you go, man. Those are all my non-spoiler thoughts on Midsommar. Now I want to know what you're thinking. Did you get out to the theater? Are you kind of in on this Ari Aster train? Do you like what he's doing as an artist? Do you like his horror? Where does this work in relation to how Hereditary worked? What did you like? What were things that really got under your skin? Don't spoil anything, but kind of hint at where it was. It was at that cliff, or if it's the finale. What was really getting under your skin? What did you like or dislike about this one? All that can go down below. Did you think it was too long? Leave those comments in the comments section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the C-Man every time we're talking about something Ari Aster is doing, or just anything in the horror realm. I'm a huge horror fan. You got to hit that subscribe button and a little bell so you get alerts every time I make a new video. The C-Man's Cinema Sit Down. I'm the C-Man, and I'm signing off. Peace. Well, you guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry. C-Man's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy and this guy. And if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the C-Man goodies, join the Cinema Sit Down squad, man. Hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.